At Baker's Pharmacy, CARE is making it easy to get vaccinated. CARE is helping you stay protected from flu, COVID, and RSV. Seasonal vaccines are available 7 days a week with evening hours. CARE is giving you a shot at staying healthy this season. Walk in whenever is best and get multiple vaccines in one visit at your local Baker's Pharmacy. So come and get the protection you need while protecting those around you. Baker's, a world of care is in store. Visit bakersplus.com/vaccines for more. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See site for details. At Baker's Pharmacy, CARE is making it easy to get vaccinated. CARE is helping you stay protected from flu, COVID, and RSV. Seasonal vaccines are available 7 days a week with evening hours. CARE is giving you a shot at staying healthy this season. Walk in whenever is best and get multiple vaccines in one visit at your local Baker's Pharmacy. So come and get the protection you need while protecting those around you. Baker's, a world of care is in store. Visit bakersplus.com/vaccines for more. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See site for details.
Hello again. Welcome back to another episode of Second and Saints. Man, I sometimes I don't even know what we're doing, Ross. Second and
There's
Saints.
been so many times
English.
recently. There's been so many times recently on Locked On. I'll try to say like, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On Saints. And I always, and for whatever reason, over the course of the past week, I've been going, thanks for tuning in for today's episode of the New Orleans Saints. I've been doing it every single time recently. It's been driving me crazy.
It happens, man. You guys know what you get with this show. And hey, look, it's been a minute since we've been back on, after training camp wrapped up, but we're here. We're about to talk about week 1 Saints Panthers. We got to see some bonus practices, got week 1 mode. So we're back in full swing of things. Ross and I are like super busy doing stuff every day, going to the locker rooms, talking to coaches, coordinators, like you name it. It's all happening right now behind the scenes. So busy time, but Ross, how's things going? Are you staying dry? I know I'm not, but you're trying your best. Neutral ground parking, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, I'm we've been holding up all right, doing good, everything like that. It's just been it's been a little crazy, but it's been funny. Like we missed all the heat. We got back just in time for all the rain. Yeah. It's just how it be and everything. Hope you're doing well, man.
Yeah, I am. And look, I'll take a rain over a hurricane any day. Like you can just keep raining. I'm fine with that. And the temperature's kind of like slowly dropping. It's not like it's super tolerable, I guess, but it's just definitely not like hot as Hades. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, right.
It's nice, but I'm doing well, man. Thanks for asking. Well, let's just hop into it. Week 1, Saints, Panthers, NFC South. We've been knowing about this game for months now, right? But now it's rubber meets the road. Dennis Allen leading a new look offense with Clint Kubiak. You got a couple of new additions to the offense. You got some exciting rookies on the squad. You added some pieces defensively. And now all the talk that you had, all the different things that you showed in camp that we saw in camp, it's a fresh start. Yep. Everybody's 0-0. Well, except for, the Packers and Eagles and Chiefs and Ravens, although those were pretty entertaining games for sure. I'll say that. But, everybody's got a clean slate. But the expectations are all over the board in New Orleans. To get into week 1, I don't say it's must win. I don't like saying must win at week 1 of the season, right? Because I don't think your season is over if you lose in week 1. But It's the Panthers. You've done all the talking. Where do you feel like this temperature is at on this team and their, importance of actually winning this game?
Yeah, I would say it feels like the importance of winning this game is pretty up there. I agree with you. You can't say must win in terms of the long process of what the season is, everything, because it doesn't end your season. It's not like the old college football schedules and things like that, thankfully for LSU. And so I think that like the big thing now is that it's a must win in terms of building confidence, in terms of proving who they are, building their identity, all those things. And certainly those things are going to ebb and flow throughout the season. But getting off to a fast start here, not just in the game, but in the season, I think is very, very important for this team. So while it's not a must win, I would still say this is a very, very important game for New Orleans, especially with the toughness of their opening 5 games that are a part of it. You want to come out of this stretch 2 and 3, 3-2 if you can. And this Carolina Panthers game is the game that gives you the best chance to at least get one win closer to that goal, this weekend.
Yeah, and look, you got it's an NFC South win, or NFC South game. It counts as double, so you definitely want to do that. And then the other one in the schedule is Atlanta. I mean, in Atlanta, so their first 5 games, 3 of them are going to be on the road. They get to open at home, which has kind of been a trend for the last 5 they've opened at home. It's kind of been weird. Well, asterisk with the game in Jacksonville when they had that crazy stuff happen from Ida and stuff. But look, yeah, I agree. I think you've done enough talking. Everybody's kind of focused. Everybody's got this renewed sense, and now it's just time to go out and execute, right? Like, I think that's the biggest thing, is that you've kind of set everything up. You know what you're getting on the defensive side. Offense is kind of the one that goes into question here. Focus specifically, I think about Trevor Penning and how he's going to do against JV and Clowney. How are they going to utilize Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, like all these stars that we've been told since day one, this Clint Kubiak offense, which is supposed to be one voice, one band, one sound, you know what I'm saying? Quote drum line, but that's what we're supposed to get. That's kind of what we've been led to believe, is that they're kind of, I pointed out or wrote about it, I think harmoniously is how this team should kind of go. But, look, you got Dallas behind them. Not that they're looking ahead, because that's just silly. I don't think a Dennis Allen team would do that, but you look ahead, they got Dallas on the road in week 2, Philly at home in week 3. And look, those are tough games. And then you got Atlanta right behind them, which everybody's on Atlanta's train, right? I mean, they're going to be Super Bowl, right? I mean, come on, guys. Like, you still got to play the games, but, it does bode well. And then you got Kansas City right behind them, which I think Kansas City, look, they kind of tend to struggle a little bit early in this year. But, look, for New Orleans, just win, right? And the thing we've kind of banged this drum a good bit. If you win, great. I'm not gonna get excited that you beat the Panthers. Now prove me that you're a real legitimate team and go into Dallas and go beat the Cowboys in week 2, or bonus, beat the Eagles at home in week 3. That's the question I have to you. Could this team do that? Is my main thing, because I think that's the biggest problem, is the inconsistency. But could they actually do that?
Yeah, look, any team can beat any team, what do you call it, any given Sunday or whatever,
right?
But I think that you get a little bit more confidence around the team's next couple of games based upon how they look against the Carolina Panthers. It's a team that they should beat. And look, the Saints team last year did a few things well. One of the things that they did very well was that they beat teams that were worse than them, or beat teams that were about the same as them. And Carolina Panther is a team, roster-wise, that is worse than the New Orleans Saints. Carolina has done such a good job, in my opinion, of embracing the team that they are. Their goal right now is to develop Bryce Young. They're not out here trying to say, oh, we're Super Bowl contenders or anything like that. If they end up turning into that, they end up turning into that. But that's their focus right now, is, can you get the best out of Bryce Young? Can you develop him? They hire Dave Canales. They rebuild the interior of their offensive line. They haven't really put the weapons around him just yet, but they did some nice things over the defensive side to kind of try to make up for the losses that they had, but they didn't go out there and overspin. They didn't go out there, blah, 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 blah. It's a team that's in an entirely different part of its life cycle than the New Orleans Saints are. And the New Orleans Saints are a more fully fledged roster at this point. So I think they're the better team. And so being able to go out there and win means that they can beat the teams that are worse than them. Great. But it doesn't mean that they can beat the teams that are better than them. Dallas, Philly, Kansas City. And so it's still going to be a little bit of a prove it. But I'll tell you what, if they go out there and they lose the team that is undeniably worse than them when it comes roster to roster, then that's what ends up, I think, moving the needle the most. It just moves the needle in the wrong direction.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing, is that's why you don't say it's must win, but you definitely can't afford to lose this game, right? I mean,
we can call it a must not lose.
Yeah, I think that's probably the thing. Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I mean, I think the thing is, I don't expect the offense to be perfect. I don't expect the defense to be perfect, but what Dennis Allen kind of honed in on, and what kind of the mood and vibe that you get from all these guys, is those who make the best in-game adjustments are going to end up winning this game, right? And I think so much of the emphasis has been put on, where's Clint Kubiak going to go? Is he going to sideline, or is he going to be in the booth? Who's quarterback number 2? doesn't matter, y'all. Like, stop. Like, that doesn't matter. I think for Kubiak, it's ultimately DA's decision. And look, they tried it both ways, and I don't think that's going to hinder success in any ways, because I like what Andrew Janako is going to be doing. But, look, I think it comes down to this ability, to the ability of this team to be somewhat consistent. And I look back to last year, third down and red zone execution. They were horrendous at that last year to begin the year. And then suddenly they add the bonus practice, and then they start getting better on third down. Like, this is the big things for me is, can you be better on third down? Can you be better in the red zone? Can you be better on down and distance and not go from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 8 and to now you're 3rd and 8, right? Like, that's my biggest thing is, can you put yourself in a better position to be able to succeed and move the ball? And so I think that's kind of what I'm looking at on the offensive side. And of course, the elephant in the room is Trevor Penning, right? That's where we're looking at. I don't question the other parts of the offensive line. And I think Trevor Penning is kind of at this point where he feels pretty confident. I think the wide receiver depth is a question as well that I think about too. You're not going to have Dallin Holker in this one. That's a bummer for them. And so, for me, this feels like a ground and pound type game, right? Like, this is Alvin, this is Taysom. You might put some Jamal Williams in there, extra tight ends to block. I mean, this feels like they can get some success on the ground, and then sets up shorter situations for Derek Carr to move the chains, right? Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, even Foster Moreau I'd throw in there, Juwan Johnson, guys that can move the sticks. I don't think the game plan is super complicated. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100% on that. I think if Derek Carr throws 20 to 25 times, that probably means good things for the New Orleans Saints. And it's not because, Derek Carr should be throwing less, blah, blah, blah. It's not that. It's just that it means that the run game's working. And so therefore you're able to rely on what you're doing on the ground and everything like that. And then you're able to be a little bit more precise and intentional about when you are throwing the football. Look, anytime that you throw more, there's greater risk. Anytime you throw less, there's less risk. That's how NFL football works. The more times you put the ball in the air, the more likely that something goes awry in some way, right? That could be an interception, that could be a tip ball, that could be whatever. Or the quarterback drops back to pass, and then therefore there's a sack, whatever it might be. And so anytime that you're able to kind of mitigate any of those risks, you're usually typically doing that because your run game is working. And so being able to get the ball on the ground. And honestly, John, I think that's going to be not just for this game. I think it's going to be the identity of this team all season long, is that's where it's going to start. It's going to start with Alvin Kamara. It's going to start with Taysom Hill. It's going to start with the ground game and then be able to build from there. The thing that makes me not super concerned about the wide receiver depth is that it just kind of puts the Saints in the same conversation as any other team. If you lost your top receiver or if you lost your top 2 receivers, you're going to feel that loss. But I think for the most part, outside of one of those guys being gassed, they're going to stay on the field. And I think that makes it so that you don't have to have as deep a room as you would typically have in, these, New Orleans Saints offenses as they tried to build out the depth and be 4 deep or 3 deep and all these other things. I think they're 3 deep right now. We'll see what happens with A.T. Perry, who's questionable. Hopefully he'll get a chance to maybe try things out before the game and then see where things go. But otherwise, I mean, you've got Bub Means and you've got Mason Tipton, the 2 rookies, but I don't know how many snaps they even see, if we're being honest. I think a lot of their role is going to be special teams. And then other than that, it's going to be the guys that are on the field. And I think that's a good change from what I'm expecting the New Orleans Saints to look like in 2024 versus what they've done in the past in terms of their wide receiver rotation and things like that.
Well, they haven't shied away from it. They said this is a run first type of team, run first 100%. Type of attack for Clint Kubiak. And so it's what obviously putting, crossing the T's and dotting the I's, that's what we should expect is. And I think even Jamal Williams can get it in there as well. Maybe even Jordan Mims, you know what I mean? But when they did the standard elevations on Saturday, they did Khaleke Hudson. That makes sense because no DeMarco Jackson. Right. And then obviously you're going to be down Jalen Ford with a hamstring injury. But, this is a kind of a precursor. I knew they would call up a linebacker because of special teams and stuff, and they bring up Kendall Vickers. No receivers in that mix. And so even if A.T. Perry can't go with that hand injury, which is not broken, by the way, I think there were some things that somebody said there was a cast. It was like like a wrap, not a wrap. I don't know how to describe it. Definitely
It's
wasn't
like a slip.
cast.
It's
Like a
something you just
slip,
put it on. It was
right?
it was almost like a compression glove
Right.
kind of thing
Yeah,
is what it was.
exactly. So, I mean, but that's the thing. And even if he doesn't dress, that would give him what, 4 receivers, and then Tipton and Means are going to have to play a little bit more. But you could also split out Alvin some if you needed to. You can use Taysom in that area as well. But I don't think the pressure is on these rookies to actually do a ton. But I think if they can lean on the ground game and get enough from Trevor Penning in the pass protection, they'll be okay. But again, fans are going to think about last year when they played the Titans, played that 3-4 defense. Penning struggled a good bit with Arden Key and stuff. And so I think that's probably my biggest matchup that I look at is Trevor Penning against whoever on passing downs. Is can he get enough protection? I think he's kind of progressed a good bit. And look, they were looking for offensive tackle help. They didn't really get much in the offseason. It's still on the table necessarily if things go crazy. But this is Trevor Penning's time to really make something of himself and make a statement in the first game too.
At Baker's Pharmacy, CARE is making it easy to get vaccinated. CARE is helping you stay protected from flu, COVID, and RSV. Seasonal vaccines are available 7 days a week with evening hours. CARE is giving you a shot at staying healthy this season. Walk in whenever is best and get multiple vaccines in one visit at your local Baker's Pharmacy. So come and get the protection you need while protecting those around you. Baker's, a world of care is in store. Visit bakersplus.com/vaccines for more. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See site for details. At Baker's Pharmacy, CARE is making it easy to get vaccinated. CARE is helping you stay protected from flu, COVID, and RSV. Seasonal vaccines are available 7 days a week with evening hours. CARE is giving you a shot at staying healthy this season. Walk in whenever is best and get multiple vaccines in one visit at your local Baker's Pharmacy. So come and get the protection you need while protecting those around you. Baker's, a world of care is in store. Visit bakersplus.com/vaccines for more. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See site for details. At Baker's Pharmacy, CARE is making it easy to get vaccinated. CARE is helping you stay protected from flu, COVID, and RSV. Seasonal vaccines are available 7 days a week with evening hours. CARE is giving you a shot at staying healthy this season. Walk in whenever is best and get multiple vaccines in one visit at your local Baker's Pharmacy. So come and get the protection you need while protecting those around you. Baker's, a world of care is in store. Visit bakersplus.com/vaccines for more. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See site for details.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, help them. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. Give them, you watch the Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens game that opened the season. Kansas City had 2 new starters, I believe it is, at tackles. Both of them are young. And so they gave him help the entire game. You had the tight end chip and release. You had the running back stay back to block. And if they didn't need to help, then they ran, out as an outlet and stuff like that. Do that. Like, that's okay to do. Teams do this all the time. And so I would expect to see the Saints doing that as well. Foster Morrow, Taysom Hill, Juwan Johnson being able to help out there, but also still be able to run routes, right? You don't have to take them out of the play as a route runner completely or as a potential pass catcher completely. You just have them there to chip, to bump, to do all that other stuff. And then I think, too, another place where you might be able to get a little bit of that help is with Cedric Wilson. I think Cedric Wilson as well, being a guy that can line up in the slot and, has those crack toss like type situations and everything like that. I think that helps your run game the more that you're able to kind of take your offensive line and expand it out of your typical 5 and go a little bit more lateral with your tight ends, with your wide receivers blocking and all those things. I think all of those guys end up helping. So yeah, I think that's a place where a lot of eyes is going to be is on number 70. But number 70 doesn't have to be out on an island the entire game either. They can still help him out. And I don't think that there's anything negative to take from that.
Yeah, I think Foster Moreau's a big candidate for that. And I'm glad you brought up Cedric Wilson because I kind of glanced over him a little bit, but just not because he wasn't important or anything, but you know what I'm saying? I still think that even if Perry doesn't play, like Tipton and Means could get some type of work.
For sure.
I mean, you know what I mean? But Wilson is obviously going to be a big part of that. I just don't know how much of a factor he's going to be in the passing game, but he can catch some passes and stuff. Defensively, look, I don't know that I worry too much there. I think the biggest thing for me is how's the ground game hold up, right? Like how's the run defense? And then on the back end, look, you've kind of alluded to it. We've kind of thought through it that, even though Jordan Howden's technically listed as the starter, based off of what we've seen in practice, we expect Will Harris to be the starter alongside Tyrann Mathieu. And for all intents and purposes, I think he's pretty much earned that spot. But, I think one of the things that we also talked about is potentially using like a rotation, like Howden will still be in on some particular downs. It depends on when they go to the nickel, when they roll in Alante. Marshawn's healthy. Kool-Aid McKinstry's healthy. Paulson's healthy. I mean, they've got pretty much the healthiest they're going to be this season is right now for their entire starting core. And Willie Gay Jr. had the back issue, but, it doesn't look like anything's going to slow him down really. But defensively, for me, can they affect the quarterback enough? Can they be actually better at rushing the passer, since Bryce Young is kind of a squeaky quarterback that could get out of the pressure, you know what I mean? And can they stop the run game, which is going to be Chuba Hubbard, you know what I mean? They're down their rookie, which is obviously not a what they wanted, but
right.
I think you can do enough defensively to kind of obviously isolate them, but they got some talent on the wide receiver front too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the run game is the one that is where I am too. I think that's what kind of most important in terms of the defensive side that I'm going to be watching for, because Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders combined for 160 plus rushing yards against his team in December. Now, it didn't put points on the board, but it was still, a big part of their game. And then, so if they're doing that, but also putting points on the board, then your defense and therefore your offense is in a lot of trouble. So being able to kind of step things up from that number 22 ranking from last year as a run defense, I think is going to be a big focus for New Orleans. And I think part of why you elevate Kendall Vickers, you have additional ability now to be able to rotate. He can play inside and out, and he gives you another special teams body. Like, there's just a lot of good stuff that comes with having him there. So I could see the Saints being, pretty focused on, how they can limit the run in this game. And the Bryce Young factor, it's really funny because I get a lot of people that will say things to me like, well, Bryce Young is not, a mobile quarterback. Like, he doesn't really like scramble and pick up a bunch of yards, all these other things. And I think the thing to remember is that when it comes to what you're really looking for, trying to limit in Bryce Young, it's not a 50-yard run here, a 30-yard run here, a 13-yard scamper here. It's the getting away from like evading a potential sack, getting outside and buying himself an extra couple of minutes to throw a 15-yard pass on 3rd and 12. That's the thing that you're trying to avoid here. And Bryce Young absolutely has the ability to do that. So an early read on how the New Orleans Saints have or have not, we'll see, made progress when it comes to limiting those sort of more mobile style quarterbacks that can extend plays.
Yeah, it's always, that's the thing, the almost sacks, and then the coverage is so good downfield, but the quarterback's like, oh, let me evade the sack and then I can take off for 7 to 10 yards and pick up a first down. Like, it's always been a somewhat issue. Like, yeah, the coverage is great, but you need somebody like a Chase Young, or I don't want to say you put a spy on him by any means.
I think Willie Gay helps too.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he helps a lot, and I'm really excited. Those two are going to just be so good for this defense and such. But look, I mean, it's back in the Superdome. Again, I don't want to belittle this game and think about the Panthers as just a team you just look past or anything. But again, it's a division game, and based off of everything that we've seen, I mean, I can't pick against the Saints in this game, right? Like, I don't think many people are in, like, betting trends, pick them, all this other stuff reflects that, but it is a divisional game. How do you see this one playing out, and who comes out on top?
Yeah, I'm going Saints 24 with Carolina about 16 in this one. I think that there's some, late score, some field goals, things like that end up kind of running both these totals up. But I think that they just come in terms of like just below what the kind of total over under is for this one. I think it's around like 40 and a half, 41 and a half. Yeah. So I think it comes in just below that for this one. But I think the thing that you're really looking for is like, how do they execute on offense? They don't have to score 35, 38 points to look good on offense. You know what I mean?
Right.
They can execute their offense. They can run the football. They can control the clock. I think that those are the things that end up being really important in this one. So if they show their ability to run, if they're able to, hold up in terms of pass protection, if they're able to limit the opposing run game, and if they're able to get, I think the interior pressure on the defensive side has a real big impact on smaller quarterbacks. And so being able to do that up against a pretty solid or let's say highly invested in offensive interior for Carolina, I think those are the things that I'm more so looking at. I think the Saints should win this game. I think the Saints need to not lose this game. And so I think that's important. But there are like specific elements that you just want to see in terms of their ability to improve from 2023 into 2024. And that's like, those are the other additional elements that you're really looking for. Like, you could walk away from a win in this one and go, still not so sure. And so you want to check a lot of those other boxes along the way.
Yeah, I think what we're looking for is kind of like what's reminiscent to that 49ers game when they put together that long drive. Like, I don't care if you put 20 to 24 points up on the board. If you have long, sustainable drives that eat the clock, I'll take that every day, right?
Yep.
Like a 10 play, 12 play, 14 play. Like that's what I long to see. And I don't care about the score necessarily, but I'm like you. I picked the under. I think the Saints should win this game. I'd say 24 to 27 type points is what I think they'd put up. I think Carolina is going to have a little bit of struggles, but they do have that late surge. I'll only give them like 14 at this point. But, you know, again, anything can happen. They beat them down last year, 28-6, and a lot of different things were in that game too, late in the season. But I just don't know how New Orleans can go in there and look, if they lose this game, then man, there's going to be a field day on social media and everywhere else. Like the sky will be falling, right? And so, you know, it's just how that plays out. Any specific impact players that you think are going to really be the ones that say, okay, when this game's said and done, these 2-3 players made the difference in a win?
Yeah. I'll say Taysom Hill on the offensive side. I'll
read
say
my mind.
Yeah, and I'll say maybe X factor more like over on the defensive side. I'll actually throw a little bit of love over to Pete Werner. Pete Werner always seems to start fast. I mean, he was leading the NFL in solo tackles until something like week 5, week 7 last year. I think he was leading a bit early on the year before that as well. I think that this is a game where he walks away with double-digit tackles in this one and helps out in terms of run support. So I would see him, if he has a performance like that, or if the Saints win, him being a big contributing factor to that over on the defensive side.
Yeah, Taysom Hill was me. That's who I've been pumping up all week. I just feel like I know he's boomer bust, right? Like he can be so much, but with the run focus and the fact, like, I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and do gambling or sports best advice or anything like that, but they only had him at 15.5 rushing yards. I'm like, good Lord. Like I expect him to finish up a lot healthier than that. I think Alvin's going to eat too, but you know, Taysom's probably the top guy for me on offense, with Alvin Kamara being a close second. And then defensively, look, you went Pete Werner. I was thinking about him, but I think DeMario comes in there, helps set the tone. Hadn't really talked too much about DeMario, and it's not like we've had to, but I just think that he hits another level. He's somebody that we can probably see that might get home on some sack production and kind of just set the tone defensively for this team, and rightfully so. But you know, again, this team should win, you know, knock on wood, and it's week 1. Anything can happen. We know that. We've seen it firsthand. If you follow this team more than 5 minutes, you've seen it all, right? I think it's just, it's crazy. And then it's any given Sunday. We know all the cliches, but New Orleans should win this game. And you know what? We're going to be after the game Sunday talking about it, whether they won or lost, because we're going to be right back here, not here as in where we're at right now, but on the field. We're going to do a post-game show. We're kind of figuring out how we want to do everything and stuff and such. I think we have a pretty good system that we're at least thinking through and as far as bringing you guys more coverage and stuff. But man, Ross, as always, before we get out of here, anything else you want to add on the game? And then on what's coming up at LouisianaSports.net and Locked On?
Yeah. So I was going to throw a bold prediction out there, but I don't know if I really have one. I was going to do something like kind of counter to the idea. Like everybody's kind of freaking out about the fact that Zach Bond had 2 sacks in the Friday night game up against the Green Bay Packers.
Let it go.
And so I was going to say I think everybody stops talking about that when either Willie Gay or Demario Davis ends this game with 2 sacks. So maybe that'll be my bold prediction is Demario Davis 2 sacks in this game.
I like it.
And I'll roll with that. In terms of what's coming. Wait, do you have anything that you want to do as a bold prediction?
The biggest thing
I'm putting you on the spot too.
No, you're fine. No, I honestly, I think Carr has 2 touchdown passes in this game. I know, like, he hasn't had a great track record to begin the season, and last year he didn't do so well in their first meeting, but I think he's got at least 2 touchdowns in him, 250, no picks. That's probably what I'd say, that he has a pretty clean game. And 250, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. That's my stat line for Derek Carr. I think he's actually going to play a lot better than some people would give him credit for. And so, I think that's kind of where I stand for that. But
that's another big one. Yeah, that's another big one that would kind of, you know, have some impact in terms of how this team is discussed, you know, in the coming weeks and things like that. Over at LouisianaSports.net, I have a feature coming out about Juwan Johnson that I'm super excited about. That'll be dropping later on Saturday. I am going to also write up a bold predictions piece, which is, something that was like fresh in my mind. So I have a couple of those, and then just a little bit of like what to watch for in this game, including the mystery of where Clinton Kubiak will be calling plays. It's all going to be very interesting. I'm actually, it's funny. I know it has absolutely no bearing on the game, but I'm actually super excited to figure out where he's going to be calling plays because the saga has become such a saga now. And so I just want to know, you know what I mean? So I got negged into it, I think is what happened. Over on Locked On, ahead of the game, I'll do 5 things to know, including the game day elevations. We'll discuss all that kind of stuff and everything like that. So that's what I got coming up. What you got over on Saints on SI?
Whew, man. Well, I've been pretty busy. So I've started doing like a fantasy column, a betting column.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
Check that out and stuff. Appreciate that, man. And then looking at some different pieces. So like if you haven't checked up all Saints on SI coverage, I mean, we're active in the thick of it. We're active doing all sorts of stuff, and it's just trucks along, right? And so I think that's the biggest thing is just we got continuous coverage no matter where you want to turn, whether it's Locked On, LouisianaSports.net, Saints News Network. We got you covered. And so make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Look, I'll say this, guys. I put out there, I tweeted earlier, the thing about Zach Bond. We weren't surprised at this, right? No, I think the only thing people should be upset about is the fact that the Saints took too long to figure out where to put Zach Bond. I think that's the only thing people should really be mad about, not the fact that, here comes a player that left and is doing well. He's in a 3-4 system where he should have been in the first place. Like that doesn't surprise me. And lo and behold, that's what we talked about on our show. We wrote about it and like February, March, it's not like we're surprised or caught off guard, but I got to let it go. Let it go. That's why they got Willie Gay Jr. You know what I'm saying? Like Willie Gay Jr. is better fit for this team and better system. So anyways, that's my 2 pennies there. So
Agreed with you.
Good deal. All right. Well, guys, again, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, check out all our links to help support the show so we can continue to do what we do. We really are appreciative of everything that you guys have done for us and said to us and just all the things that you just continuously show love for us. But we will be back with a post-game show on Sunday. We will be live. We'll be doing it from the field. And so stay tuned for that. Link will drop and all that. But until then, on behalf of Ross Jackson, I'm John Hendricks signing out for Second and Saints. I got it right this time. So you guys enjoy what rest of the weekend you have. And Saints football is right around the corner. We will talk to you very soon. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.
At Baker's Pharmacy, CARE is making it easy to get vaccinated. CARE is helping you stay protected from flu, COVID, and RSV. Seasonal vaccines are available 7 days a week with evening hours. CARE is giving you a shot at staying healthy this season. Walk in whenever is best and get multiple vaccines in one visit at your local Baker's Pharmacy. So come and get the protection you need while protecting those around you. Baker's, a world of care is in store. Visit bakersplus.com/vaccines for more. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See site for details. At Baker's Pharmacy, CARE is making it easy to get vaccinated. CARE is helping you stay protected from flu, COVID, and RSV. Seasonal vaccines are available 7 days a week with evening hours. CARE is giving you a shot at staying healthy this season. Walk in whenever is best and get multiple vaccines in one visit at your local Baker's Pharmacy. So come and get the protection you need while protecting those around you. Baker's, a world of care is in store. Visit bakersplus.com/vaccines for more. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See site for details.